Good day, sir, classmates. We are in the group 6 in the topic that we will discuss related to total quality management, the effective control system. The out, our outline for our discussion of effective control system is first is the introduction of the effective control system, followed by the importance of an effective control system and characteristic of an effective control system, which will be discussed by your truly, Engineer Marquez Ermol Bagasbas. Next, uh, the following topics will be discussed by Engineer Karlo Marpuri, which are the identifying the types of failures, indicators of failure, its importance of early detection, then the importance of determining accountability. Then the last topics which will be discussed by Engineer John Christopher Marquez are the tools for identifying responsible parties. Why are correction action plans important? Elements of a correction action plan. Then lastly is the recommendation for implementing an ECS. So let's start our discussion. What is an effective control system? An effective control system is when the activities of the organization are managed properly in accordance with the plan, goals, and objectives. A good control system should ensure the achievement of every objective of the organization. Controls at every level focus on inputs, processes, and outputs. It's very important to have effective controls at each of these three stages. Then, managers are responsible for controlling the organization. A manager must improve the effectiveness of the organization's control system, as can do a great deal to improve the effectiveness of their control systems. Controlling is the last step of management, where how the implemented plan is working is assessed and evasive actions are taken. Effective control systems tend to have certain common characteristics. The importance of the characteristics varies with situations, which will be discussed on our next slide. The importance of an effective control system. First, it guides to operations. Control guides behavior towards organizational goals. The control system guide the employees on how to do the process on maintaining a production of good quality products, and then on maintaining a also in production of good quality service for the customer. Next is the policy verification. The control system enables management to verify the quality of various plans. It helps on checking whether the employee is uh, doing the process properly, uh, according to the plan of the organization. Next is managerial accountability. A manager should check up the performance of their subordinates. Uh, in a effective control system, uh, the manager are responsible on checking the performance of each of their employee from the start of the process until it finish. Next is the employee morale. It controls create an atmosphere of order and discipline in the organization. It helps the control system also helps the employees to be motivated in doing their jobs in the company. Next is efficiency and effectiveness. Control contributes to the efficient operation by focusing on goal accomplishment. It helps their employees, not only the employer but also the manager to be to be efficient and effectiveness in their job to achieve the goal of their organization. Next is coordination in action. Uh, Controls helps to maintain equilibrium between means and ends. It helps the having a misunderstanding during the process. Okay. Next is characteristic of an effective control system. There are many characteristics of an effective control system, but we will only discuss the four major characteristics of the effective control system. This first is accountability. Accountability. A good control system must be based on responsibility. It is helpful to take the necessary steps at the right time. The feeling of responsibility among employees help to achieve the organizational objectives. Other characteristic that are related to this accountability is first is acceptable, which is uh, all the manager and all the of his or her employee are accept the no, accept the what kind of control system they are using in the organization to be effectively. Then also the manager and the employee should understand the control system itself. Next is flexibility. The control system itself must be flexible enough to accommodate the change. In other words, the control should remain workable in the face of change plans, unforeseen circumstances, or outright failure. Uh, Other effective characteristic for this uh, word for this characteristic related to this characteristic is the word corrective, quick, economical, realistic. It means that during the process, an effective control should adapt to any kinds of changes that may occur in the process that may help the employees and the manager to have some correction to be made to maintain the effectiveness and the efficiency and effectiveness of the control system. Third is a timeliness. Timeliness does not necessarily mean maintaining a time schedule for exercise control. It simply means exercise of control mechanism or technique as when required. Other related word with the characteristic timeliness is forward-looking so stability. It means that any time that a problem occurs during the process, the control system itself will, will adjust or use the acquired information to be used to solve the problem itself. Next is analysis, the accuracy. It means effective control generates accurate data accurate information that is essential for effective managerial decision. Effective control system provides factual information that useful, reliable, valid, and consistent. Other words related to this characteristic are the strategic control, objectivity, and simplicity. It means that the effective control system are easily understandable by the managers and all the employees in the organization. Then next topic is the identifying failures, which will be discussed by Engineer Karlo of Marpuri.
Under the effective control system is identifying failures. Implementing controls implies a robust and structured environment. However, simply having controls in place is not enough. Some organizations have controls that are only partially effective and require remediation, or are ineffective and require a complete overhaul. There are reasons why control fails. The most common control failures are caused by inadequate company policies, lack of documentation, and unenforced segregation of duties. The first question is, what happens when the control system fails? So, napakaraming consequences na pwede mangyari. That is why control systems require careful planning and design to deal with every foreseeable situation, including failures. We included three types of failures in our discussion. One of it is the inadequate company policy. Poorly structured policies are one of the most common deficiencies when it comes to controls. Policies are often overdone, written to cover everything that shouldn't be done. The extensive list of exceptions becomes overly complicated and can cause employees to become overwhelmed and lose track of their own job responsibilities. Policy should be written with the focus on what staff should do. Don't overcomplicate it. Policy negligence leaves you at risk for financial losses, security breaches, and ruin a reputation. It is also important that the company updates its policies when needed. There are instances na nagkakaroon ng confusion sa mga employees dahil sa mga luma at outdated na policy nila na nagre-resulta sa mga di pagkakaintindihan, errors, and conflicts. The second failure is the lack of documentation. Creating accountability for adapting a new documentation process is critical to mitigate controls. When preparing a documentation plan for the business, clarify the documentation requirements of staff and communicate the expectations to each function of the organization. Company should develop a policy around managing documentation to clearly define which documents to retain and the appropriate storage location. It is needed to have a separate policy when it comes to the documentation because we must assure that everything is organized. But what will happen if you don't organize your documents? This results to data loss, identity theft, fraud, and even lawsuits. It can also damage the company's reputation and trustworthiness in the market. The third one is the unenforced segregation of duties. With policies and documentation plans in place, segregation of duties can be established. Segregation of duties is essential to having an adequate control framework and is implemented to ensure separation of processing tasks, preventing opportunities to fraudulent behavior. To ensure a clear understanding of each job position, align the organization based on future controls. What are the indicators of failures? Poor financial performance. It may include factors such as decreasing sales, frequent losses, shrinking profit margins, increasing debts, or inability to meet financial obligations. Poor financial performance often signals that businesses is failing to generate sufficient revenue, manage its expenses effectively. Lack of financial management is also one of the reasons why companies experience financial failures, and this can also lead to bankruptcy. Declining market shares. This decline may result factors such as changing customer preferences, increases competition, ineffective market strategies, or inability to innovate and keep up with the industry trends. Monitoring market share is crucial to detecting early signs of failures and taking necessary corrective actions. The next one is dissatisfied customers. Unaddressed customer complaints, negative online reviews, or declining customer loyalty can significantly impact the company's reputation and customer base. Regularly measuring and addressing customer satisfaction level is essential. This also refers to the negative reviews of the customers. That is why we need to resolve instantly as possible to gain or ibalik yung tiwala ng customers natin sa ating mga product o serbisyo. Employee disengagement. High turnover rates, low productivity, absenteeism, or lack of motivation among employees can indicate organizational issues such as poor leadership, ineffective communication, limited growth opportunities, or toxic work culture. Due to unresolved complaints and bad reviews gaya nga nung na-mention ko kanina, pwede itong humantong sa pagkawala at pagkaunti ng ating mga customers or clients. That is why we really need to work out and settle those failures. Next is the importance of early detection. Time for corrective measures. Detecting failure indicators early provides businesses with ample time to evaluate the underlying causes and implement corrective measures. Taking immediate action can help prevent further deterioration and increase the likelihood of successful turnaround. Second is preservation of resources. Recognizing signs of failure early enables businesses to conserve their resources and avoid wasteful spending. By identifying the key areas requiring improvement, companies can redirect their resources towards bolstering these aspects rather than investing in futile endeavors. Stakeholder management. Early detection allows businesses to proactively communicate with stakeholders, including employees, customers, investors, and suppliers. By addressing concerns and devising future plans, companies can maintain stakeholder confidence and relationship. The last one is higher chance for recovery. When a company detects failure indicators at an early age, there is a higher possibility of implementing effective strategies for recovery. With more time and flexibility, businesses can explore alternative approaches, seek external assistance, or make necessary adjustments to their business models. Importance of determining accountability. Build trust. When you hold all employees accountable, it breeds trust among individuals and teams. Improve performance. Fostering a culture of accountability increases efficiency and boosts productivity. Strengthen culture. Once accountability is embedded into a fabric of company, accountability will be everyone's responsibility. Better compliance. In today's ever-changing laws, regulations, and guidelines, compliance touches every industry. The next one will be discussed to you by Engineer Marquez.
Okay, so now let's discuss the tools for identifying responsible parties. The tools for identifying responsible parties refer to various methodologies or approaches used to determine who should be held accountable in a particular situation. There are several common tools for identifying responsible parties. First is root cause analysis. This tool involves investigating an incident or problem to determine the underlying causes that contributed to its occurrence. It helps identify responsible parties by tracing back the chain of events or actions that led to the issue. Next is fault tree analysis. Fault tree analysis is a graphical tool used to identify all possible combinations of events that could lead to a specific undesired outcome. Through this analysis, responsible parties can be identified by examining the contributing factors and failures that led to the event. Third will be fishbone diagram, also known as cause and effect diagram or Ishikawa diagram. This tool visually displays the potential causes and effects related to a problem or incident. By using categories such as people, processes, equipment, environment, and materials, responsible parties can be identified based on the specific factors that contributed to the issue. Next is stakeholder analysis. Stakeholder analysis involves identifying and assessing the interests, influence, and responsibilities of different individuals or groups involved in a situation. By understanding the roles and responsibilities of stakeholders, responsible parties can be identified based on their level of involvement or influence in the outcome. Fifth would be interviews and consultations. Conducting interviews and consultations with individuals or groups involved in or affected by a situation can help gather information and perspectives on who should be held responsible. This tool relies on obtaining insights and accounts from stakeholders to identify responsible parties. Last would be documentation review. Reviewing relevant documents such as contracts, agreements, policies, and records can provide valuable insights into the responsibilities and obligations of various parties. This tool allows for the identification of responsible parties based on the roles assigned to them in written documentation. Now, these tools can be used individually or in combination to aid in the identification of responsible parties in various contexts, such as accident investigations, project management, incident response, or legal proceedings. Now, by the time the responsible parties have been identified, it is important to have a corrective action plan. Now you may ask, why are corrective action plans important? Corrective action plans are important since they provide documentation for a company's corrective actions. It provides a process of implementing corrective action, beginning with the research and ending with the review. Companies that use this planning have a system to reflect back on to manage and develop their solutions. Some benefits of using corrective action plans include improving work processes or methods, streamlining workflow, increasing efficiency and effectiveness, and finding cost-effective ways for correcting errors. Now, what are the elements of a corrective action plan? The following are the key elements of a corrective action plan. First would be defined problem. The first element of a corrective action plan is identifying the problem. For example, an online clothing store may get a customer complaint about receiving a broken item. By understanding this issue, the organization is dealing with, you can find potential solutions. This also helps your team understand what you need to do. It also helps you identify what team the problem involves, such as the quality management for the scenario above. Consider including links to appropriate sources that support the defined problem. These include resources such as customer complaints, safety incidents, audit results, and non-conforming materials. Second would be due dates. Corrective action plans include deadlines for the company to complete steps to reach the desired resolution. Organizations may create lists with what tasks to complete each day, prioritizing the tasks needed to reach their goal. This section may also include the consequences for not reaching the desired due date. Third is risk assessment. Risk assessments help companies estimate the level of risk for particular actions. When creating a corrective action plan, organizations use their risk assessment matrix to determine the amount of risk so they can remove high risk actions. Reviewing risks is also helpful when concluding the corrective action process, since it allows companies to figure out whether their actions help resolve the issue or whether they should begin the process again. Next is root cause. To help find a potential solution, find the root cause contributing to the issue. There are a variety of methods and techniques for a root cause analysis. For example, the 5 whys analysis asks the question, why, to determine what is causing an issue. For the customer complaint about a broken item, the company could work through the why analysis and find out that the customer received a broken item since the box fell during shipping. Fifth would be action items. The corrective action plan includes action items for how the organization plans to correct the defined problem. Include details to help explain what to do, such as outlining the selective correction plan. Other factors to consider when listing your action items are the cost and task assignment. Sixth would be stakeholders. During the planning stage of the corrective action, determine who the stakeholders are. Often, these are the customers or employees who are affected. Companies often reach out to stakeholders as soon as possible to let them know what solutions they plan to implement. Next is metrics for completion. Corrective action plans also include the metrics for completion or baseline for the company to reach to consider the issue resolved. For example, the company experiencing an upset customer from the broken item may look to have a satisfied customer as their metric for completion. Last would be progress updates. After your corrective action plan, evaluate to see what went well. During this review, you may find there was a better way to reach your resolution. Here you can adjust and improve your plan by organizing and restarting the process. With that, let us now head to the recommendations for implementing an effective control system. Recommendations for implementing an effective control system include the following. First is define clear objectives. Start by clearly defining the objectives and goals of the control system. This ensures that the system is aligned with the overall objectives of the organization and facilitates effective monitoring and evaluation. Second would be establish appropriate policies and procedures. Developing clear policies and procedures for control activities is crucial. This includes defining roles and responsibilities as well as establishing guidelines for documentation, reporting, and escalation processes. Third would be identify key performance indicators or KPIs. Determine the KPIs that will be used to measure the performance and effectiveness of the control system. These indicators should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, or SMART, and aligned with the organizational goals. Fourth is set up monitoring mechanisms. Implement regular monitoring mechanisms to track the performance of control activities. This can include periodic reviews, audits, inspections, or self-assessment processes. Monitoring should be conducted consistently and objectively to identify any gaps or areas for improvement. Next is enhance reporting and communication. Establish a robust reporting and communication framework to ensure that control-related information is effectively disseminated across the organization. This includes regular reporting on control performance, control deficiencies, and remedial actions required. Encouraging open communication channels and feedback mechanisms is also important. Next is provide training and awareness. Invest in training programs to develop the skills and competencies needed to effectively implement and maintain control systems. Create awareness among employees about the importance of controls, their responsibilities, and the potential risks associated with non-compliance. Next is implement automated control tools and technology. Leverage technology solutions to automate control activities where possible. This can streamline processes, minimize human error, provide real-time data, and improve efficiency in monitoring and reporting. Next is foster a culture of control and accountability. Develop a strong control culture within the organization by promoting a sense of ownership and accountability at all levels. Encourage employees to adhere to control procedures, report any deviations, and actively participate in the improvement of control systems. And lastly, you should continually evaluate and improve. Regular evaluation of the effectiveness of the control system through feedback, performance measurement, and benchmarking against industry best practices. Identify areas for improvement and implement necessary changes to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of the control system. Now, to sum it all up, an effective control system is crucial for organizations to monitor, regulate, and achieve their objectives. This is why it is important to note that an effective control system should be tailored to unique needs and requirements for each organization. Therefore, it is recommended to consult with experts in the field, such as internal auditors or risk management professionals, to ensure a comprehensive and customized control system implementation. Once again, this has been Engineer Marco Ermol Bagasbas, Engineer Karlo Marpuri, and Engineer John Christopher Marquez. Thank you for your time for listening to our report.